I'm so excited to be joined by you, Victoria, today because I describe your book as my Bible and it found its way to me when I was in a bit of a rut. I was in a dark headspace. And so I'm pumped that we can unpack, lucky girl energy and the theories that you speak about in your book. One of the reasons why it spoke to me and how I explain it to people is I feel like it's the perfect blend of woo woo and theoretical information. And you graduated from Harvard and Yale. You had a career in Silicon Valley in VC, and then you transitioned into this expansive space. So I'm curious to know what inspired you to do that.
Yeah, it's a great question. So if I had to name like a turning point, it was being in rooms with these billionaires, successful founders, like the so-called elite, and realizing that these people who were supposed to have it all were burnt out, anxious, disconnected from themselves. It was almost as if they were looking for their worthiness in all the wrong places. And they were burning through people, burning through milestones, burning through life, and they were numb to all of it. So they couldn't even feel the joy of their accomplishments. And, in venture capital, I was investing in tech startups. So, watching these brilliant minds create extraordinary things, but creating it from this place of fear versus fulfillment. So, contraction versus expansion. So, I really asked myself, like, what's the point of trying to build technologies that help us save time or extend our lifetime if we don't even know how to feel good with the time we already have? And so that question really pulled me out of being purely strategic and sitting on people's boards in just this very like transactional way, looking at their numbers and their business model, and got me into something deeper, which was like studying human potential, psychology, consciousness. And then that's when I really realized that this next evolution of leadership success paradigm on the planet is not going to be driven by hustle, but really driven by this alignment, expansive embodiment, this emotional mastery. And I found that because I went to Yale and Harvard Business School, that I could really be this bridge between the two worlds.
I love that. Like they would listen to you because I guess of your background, people would believe you and probably weren't looking at it as what is this kind of woo woo ness. So I'd love to hear in your words, like your book is called Bending Reality and you're talking about alignment and fulfillment. What does it mean to actually bend reality?
Yeah, so I often have this like quote that I like to use, which is like the moment you enter my world, reality begins to bend in your favor. And it really captures that. It's like you quite literally are bending the odds, bending your reality. And I believe we're always bending our odds, but we're doing it on autopilot. So we're not necessarily creating the outcomes that we want. And so, even though it sounds quite mystical, it is grounded in science. So, we can get into that if you're interested. But it just
Yeah.
literally means the way we're shifting how we perceive, process, and interact with the world that changes our outcomes.
Yeah, I would love to get into the science of it for a moment. In your book, you speak about quantum physics and these leaps you can make towards endless possibilities. Like, what is the science behind this?
Yeah, so it's my belief when we look at quantum physics, we look at the idea that the observer actually influences what we are observing. So we are collapsing the wavelength of infinite possibilities down into an expected outcome. And I've seen this time and time again that we get what we expect. So there's something called the reticular activating system, or RAS for short. And it's actually this filter that determines what information gets through to us. And so this is that phenomenon where we're in the market for like a new red car. You're going to start seeing red cars everywhere on the street. That's like your reticular activating system looking for a red car. So the same thing happens when we set a clear intention, is that we start tuning out distractions, like not the red car, and you start tuning into opportunities that are aligned with what you were looking for. So what you
Mm.
focus on expands and starts to literally shape your perception of what's possible. That's one element. And then also our nervous system and our emotional state signal to our body whether we're in survival mode, this sort of closed down protection contraction mode, or whether we're safe and we can open up into this expansive place of creation. So when you regulate your nervous system and you start to shift your emotional baseline, meaning like, maybe you have thoughts and feelings of gratitude and peace and joy and this coherence in your energy field, you start to create the conditions for like higher, clearer thinking, and also for your intuition to rise. So something that we're starting to understand actually is that the left brain, that's typically known as our logic brain, that's the part of us that actually collapses the wavelength of infinite possibilities down to an expectation. And then the right part of our brain, our creative, intuitive part of our brain, is actually the part of us that taps into things like telepathy or synchronicities, or that connection to divine or that intuitive hit. That's really our right part of our brain that also, as a woman, we naturally have more of a balance towards. So while like, men maybe are more in their left part of their brain, women naturally tap more into that intuitive, creative aspect of their brain as well. So if we lean into that, we can actually start to bend the odds in our favor more and more. Also, neuroplasticity shows us that we can start to physically rewire based on what we consistently think and feel.
Mhm.
So it means that it's not just reacting to life, but actually programming our thoughts and feelings that create a new reality.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is what I want to dive into for everyone listening. You actually have a line in your book that is a nice segue, and it's, we don't see reality as it is. We see it through our lens of consciousness. And you've just touched on this, like, we can rewire our brain. And there might be people listening who hate their job, feel like they're stuck in a rut. And you mentioned this earlier as well. Like, sometimes we're an autopilot and we're doing these things and we're not really conscious of it. And one thing that your book really did to me, and you've again mentioned it a few times when you speak about contraction and expansion, you put it into words exactly what my own lived experience had been. Like, I'd known that I'd been in these zones before where I just felt like I was attracting everything that I needed in that moment. And I felt lucky, and I knew that I was lucky, and I knew that the universe always had my back. And then on the flip side, I could get into these zones where I'm like, oh my God, everything, like, this is all falling to shit. I must succeed at all costs. And that is
Mhm.
exactly like expansion versus contraction. And for the people at home, I think, to really be able to leave this episode and know exactly where to start or have some really practical tips, I'd love to hear from you, like, how you define expansion and contraction, and how people can identify when they're in a contracted state. And is it more important to like work on breaking through contraction first so you can truly be in an expansive state to change your reality, or does it not matter which one you focus on first?
I love that. Yeah. So what you're alluding to is really this internal operating system, that you can turn on and really move us into expansion. And it's really about this like energetic state that you're talking about. So when we're in contraction, which is what most people unconsciously live in, they're living in fear, doubt, control, urgency, pressure, constant comparison. And it's that feeling of needing to like grip tighter, as you said, to make something happen. And even when we're setting these big goals and exciting, juicy visions, we are often doing it from a place of contraction, which is actually pushing them further away because you start to wonder, like, is it working? Is it happening fast enough? And then all of that pressure is putting us in contraction. And then the opposite, when we're in the energy of expansion, that's when we're able to trust and feel open to possibilities. We're excited. We're driven by our purpose, our mission, our passion. We bring a lot of joy and fun. There's almost like a playful energy to which we create from. And it's when we're holding the vision versus the circumstance. So often we're in contraction because we're looking at what is the current circumstance that we're in that we don't like versus
Mm.
attuning to the vision, holding the vision of what we want from an expansive place. And so when you're in expansion, you feel your body relaxed, your mind is clear, you're really grounded in your knowing.
Do you think contraction a legitimate blocker to expansion? And like, you can't really reach this energetic state if you are operating from contraction?
Yeah, I do. So I call it alchemy, which is like transmuting contraction into expansion. And I feel that one of the key parts of this is actually being able to feel our emotions fully. So often when I see people who are burnt out, it's because they're actually numb to their life, numb to their emotional state, numb to the stress. And they thought that that was a good coping mechanism because they weren't like feeling the ups and downs of all their circumstances. But in fact, they were staying kind of stuck and trapped. And they would come to me and say, like, I feel blocked and I can't even name why or what it is that's blocking me. But I could see that they had these frozen energetic patterns from all the thoughts, feelings, beliefs, maybe wounds from the past that were holding
Mm.
contraction in their bodies. And until they were able to feel their contraction fully, they couldn't release and kind of thaw out that frozen energy pattern.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is so relatable. All right. So for anyone listening who's thinking, fuck, I'm in contraction right now, what are like a couple of your tips? Like what tools could they be using to break through that?
Yeah, so one technique that I'm going to introduce very quickly here, but once you hear it, you can do it on your own. It's actually what rewires together, what fires together rewires together, and it's called the polarity integration. And so I often invite my clients to feel into the contraction in their life. So maybe it's a relationship or a work deal or a job offer, and they'll let themselves kind of free associate the thoughts. What are you thinking about when you think about this deal? What's the image that you have? What's the feeling? And they'll kind of notice their body tense up and they'll kind of picture it really fully. And I have them like turn it up, almost like we're turning the dial all the way to 11. So they really let themselves allow and feel the contraction fully. And then once we finish that state, I have them go into the opposite and I'll say, well, what's the expansive state feel like? And if it's, the job, maybe they'll be like, well, I got the job offer and it feels so good and I'm excited, I'm grateful, I'm celebrating. And they see the image, the thought, the feelings that they associate with that expansive state. And then now they're kind of in that opposite state. And what fires together rewires together. So then now I actually have them start to breathe in both at the same time. So they're kind of almost like a painter bringing a little bit of that first color of the contracted state with that expansive state. And then you can even do it right now if you breathe in both and then squeeze both states together, top of your inhale before you release on the exhale. You just do that 2 or 3 times. You'll notice that all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's more breathing room. The contraction isn't
Mm.
like activating my system and hijacking me as much. And if you do that thing that we just did, like 3 more rounds of that, you'll actually feel that that contraction is neutralized. Like there's no more charge in that contracted state. And now when you think into the circumstance, the person or the opportunity, you're going to notice peace and neutrality, which is so much more powerful to create from and to see clearly from than that triggered state of like tunnel vision, oh no, like impending doom generator, what's going to happen?
Mm. Oh my God. Okay. I mean, I feel as we're talking, I'm like, I need to go and start doing some breath work.
Yes.
What about for anyone listening who is like, they're not necessarily in a contracted state, they're feeling good, then they know the universe has their back and they want to dial up that like lucky girl energy. What are some expansive tools people can use?
Yeah, I love that. So the first thing is that it's not so much the strategy that is as important as the energy state from which we're creating from. So you think of it as like the energy from which I create from is what dictates both the outcomes and the trajectory of my results. And so shift into an expansive energy first, which you can do from, going and taking a walk in nature without your phone, right? So talking about the science, it's like what's going to get your high beta brain waves that are like super alert and stressed out starting to feel like, oh, I can drop into low beta brainwave state, into alpha brainwave state where I'm relaxed. Okay. So everything kind of brings that mental chatter down. That's going to really
Mm.
help you shift your energetic state. So you can even turn on a song that you really enjoy. You can do some breath work, right? And you can also even like write out a couple things that you're grateful for. These are all things that shift your energy state before you even worry about the strategy. This is how I find that like every strategy can work if you're actually doing it from the right state. If you're in an expansive
Mm.
state, that's what makes a strategy work.
Yeah, okay, that makes so much sense. All right. I know there's so much that goes into this, and I've read it in your book. Like there's so much that you need to do around your own self-worth, your conditioning, like working through emotions, allowing yourself to feel. And I know we've only really skimmed the surface, but we'll definitely be encouraging everyone to get a copy of your book and to do this work from home as well. I want to end on one final question. Do you think luck is handed out or created by you?
I think it's created. I think everyone who operates from an expansive state feels lucky and literally bends the odds in your favor, right? It's like the reticular activating system that's always looking for miracles and magic and synchronicities is what I believe the lucky girl syndrome is actually about. So you can absolutely create your own luck.
Amazing. Okay, thank you so much, Victoria. This has been incredibly helpful, and I know everyone at home will love this app.
You're so welcome. That flew by.